Welcome to the Celebrity Gourmet Podcast, where we feature top bakery and specialty food entrepreneurs from around the world and share stories and tips on how to create a successful life in the baking world.
Hi, I'm Odette D'Aniello, the host of the Celebrity Gourmet Podcast, where I interview food entrepreneurs to hear how they live fun lives with financial freedom while running their businesses. Chad Franzen here of Rise 25, who has done thousands of interviews with successful entrepreneurs, investors, and CEOs, and we have flipped the script and he will be interviewing me. Today's episode is brought to you by Celebrity Gourmet Ventures, Dragonfly Cakes, and Celebrity Cake Studio. We're a family-owned and operated specialty bakery in Tacoma, Washington. At Celebrity Gourmet, we have been baking joy into all of our artistically designed cakes and desserts for 23 years. We are proud to work with a vibrant team of cake designers and bakers who help you celebrate the sweet moments in your lives. We have received numerous awards, winning the Best of Western Washington for many years in a row and various small business accolades. To learn more about how you can celebrate yourselves or the ones you love, visit celebritycakestudio.com and dragonflycakes.com or email us at info@celebritycakestudio.com. Hi, Chad. Welcome to the show.
Hey, Odette. Thanks so much for having me. It's great to talk to you today. How are you?
Amazing.
Good, good. Hey, so tell me a little bit more about Celebrity Cake Studio. You mentioned it's been around for more than 2 decades. Kind of tell me how it got started, how it came about.
Yes. So we're a third generation bakery family. My great-grandfather, actually my great-uncle, started in the Philippines after World War II by taking gas barrels and making them into ovens and using the US flour and salt and whatever commodities that they gave as rations to the Filipinos after the Japanese had left or been booted out of the Philippines, and created bread. And that's how he started his first bakery. And my mother worked for him. And then thereafter, we moved to Guam to work for my uncle's bakery when I was 10 years old. My brother was 11. And that's where I learned to decorate cakes.
Wow. So when do you remember the first cake that you ever decorated?
Yeah, it was an 8 by 12 cake, guava with guava filling and whipped cream that was already whipped. And that was my first cake, and piped it on with a Wilton, tip, and put guava filling on top. That was my first cake.
Wow, awesome. And was that done for a customer or for personal use?
That's for displays. So
Okay.
because I started when I was 10, right? I was a worker. So they start you off with the easiest thing that you can't mess up. And that was like basically something that you could just flop on.
Sure,
And
sure.
it was delicious, but I don't know how good it looked.
So no, I'm sure it looked great. So you've been doing this ever since you were basically a child. Did you always know, right when you decorated your first cake, that's what you'd be doing as your long-term career, or when did you decide like, oh, this is going to be my thing?
Absolutely not. I was forced to work. I wasn't willing. I mean, what 10-year-old would want to work at a bakery all those hours? So I was forced to work basically just because we were there as we were on a employment visa. My parents were, and my brother and I were able-bodied children, so we were part of the labor force. So that was the last thing I wanted to do. I never wanted to be in a bakery again. And then I decided to be back in the bakery business after teaching a few years. Went to college at University of Arizona, went back to Guam to pay off some loans that they had graciously given me, and met my husband there. We moved to Washington State, and we did not find any teaching jobs. So I decided, along with my brother, to open up a bakery.
So you
And I was
moved.
28 years old. It was really unplanned. It was just like, let's just open a bakery. It was not, there was really no thought into it.
Wow. So you moved to Arizona from Guam to go to the University of Arizona,
Yes, I was there to finish my degree. Yes.
and your degree was in education.
East Asian studies because I wanted to be a lawyer, but I was too poor to afford law school. So I went back to Guam and became a teacher, and I
Oh, I
got
see.
certified in teaching and got a master's degree there, all paid for by the government. So that's how I got educated.
What was your master's degree that you obtained there?
Education. So I wanted to go to the University of Washington actually to get a PhD because I thought I was going to be a professor. Because
Hmm.
you you want to work with your brain if you work with your hands all your life. And I didn't get in. And then instead of going to school, I started a business.
Great. So you were kind of an expert in all things related to a bakery. Was there something about starting your own bakery that was particularly surprising to you beyond that was different maybe from the experience that you had leading up to that?
The difference was is that I was always a worker, so I translated my experience as a worker in a bakery and to opening up the bakery, which is a completely different experience. When you have your own business, there's so many considerations versus when you're a worker. I was unpaid most of my life, so I just did the work. And so when I started the business, we started as a cafe with unlimited filling, homemade bread, etc., for $5, and we had a line out the door, but we couldn't make our ends meet. So my surprise was that there's actually a thing called profit and things called cost of goods, and I never paid myself, so it was a big learning curve, but I was also a good reader and a good learner. So I went to the library and picked out a bunch of business books, and Seth Godin's Bootstrap Bible got us all through it all. I learned a lot from that, and we pivoted and we closed our cafe down, and we started a cake business.
Okay, so it started out as a cafe. How long had you kind of been open before you realized like I need to get this business part straight? And then how long before you got it straight?
About 10 months when my brother left the business and we got into a big row about it because he didn't want to be there anymore, making whatever he was doing. Plus, it was a lot of trauma, right? Being laboring since you were a child. So he always knew how to bake, and I was always the cake decorator. So I'm like, let's just decorate cakes. That's what I know. And so my cousin moved from Guam. He was 18 years old. My sister was 19 years old. I was 29. And we just winged it. I went to a wedding show, actually. I happened upon a wedding show in Tacoma Dome, and I saw people who just made wedding cakes. I'm like, I can do that. I've been doing that since I was 10. And so the owner of the show says, do my show and you'll never have to worry about your business. And I did. And
Wow.
that was it. I just winged it, basically.
Wow,
It was
amazing.
fun.
So tell me about kind of the so it was did you start out as Celebrity Cake Studio?
No, we were called Celebrity Bakery.
Okay.
And in 2004, I was pregnant with my second child. We acquired a business called the Cake Studio in Tacoma, um, and we consolidated the businesses to Celebrity Cake Studio.
And during that time, how has it evolved maybe from when you first began as Celebrity Cake Studio to now? Is it just more?
Yeah,
Yeah, tell
we
me
were
about some of the changes.
sure. So we started out as a cafe. We pivoted because that didn't work. And then we acquired a business that was competing, that was mostly a retail store, but they had a small wholesale presence with selling cakes to Queen Anne's Thriftwood, which is now Metropolitan Market. And when we acquired that business, they part of the deal was to provide wholesale cakes to all the metropolitan markets, and they only had 3 stores then. And we just said, okay, we didn't really know what that meant, but basically we just nurtured that relationship and we grew that wholesale division So we learned how to wholesale and, make things in mass, not just a custom cakes, although that was a big part of our business. And then in 2016, we I found a business. I wanted to go national because I felt that the area that we were in was just too small for the. I mean, I wanted a more national reach.
Hmm.
So purchased a couple of businesses in 2016. The first one was called Wax Orchards, and it was a chocolate fudge brand. That was developed out of Vashon Island, and it uses fruit concentrate, and it was distributed across the country, but in a very small scale. But yet it was very diffused. So it was in Target and some Walmart and Amazon, and I managed all kinds of distribution. So that's how I learned the distribution part of the business. 6 months after that, a consultant who's also a friend and had been working with for a while, who I'd asked to help me with wax orchards because I was struggling with it. She brought the dragonfly cakes opportunity to us, and we met the owner. It was out of Sausalito. They made pedophores, and so we acquired that business and moved it to Tacoma, Washington, and we have scaled that. We're now in a few. Exactly how many stores were I don't know, but the last I counted was about 800.
Oh,
But
wow.
we sell that now. So we started from the cafe to now we are a nationally distributed brand, and we're in all kinds of stores, particularly Whole Foods, New Market, New Seasons. I'm sorry, and we're in Harry and David during special occasions. You can find our products. We're sold online, so we are very different from when we started, but we pivoted every single step of the way.
Yeah, that is incredible. What is there something you're most proud of? Now that you look back on where you are now compared to then?
Most proud of the fact that I started the business without children, and my husband and I ran the business together. We have kept our marriage solidly loving and fun, and we've celebrated our 27th year anniversary. My children are 22 and 19. They're both in college, and they're very proud of the business, and they work with me. My daughter works with me. My son works part time as he's going to college, and my sister has been my partner from when my brother left. So we've been partners since 2004, and we're super close. And my cousin is our baker. We're a family business. We're very, very close as a family. So that is what I'm most proud of: growing a business with my family, and raising my children who are proud of what they do and what I do.
Sure. If you could tell yourself, the young entrepreneur who couldn't find a teaching job, so decided to open her own business, if you could tell tell yourself some advice that you didn't know back then that you know now, can you think of what that would be?
You don't have to work so hard. I mean, I think one of the things, like, you do have to work hard, but not to not to the detriment of your well-being. Because I think I've been in this business for 23 years, and I can see how I worked. My Every ounce of my energy was into, like, surviving. And I think that I would tell her that, you know, you will instinctively know what to do. You don't necessarily have to go in a circle in your mind all the time and stress out.
Yeah, sure. Hey, before we get into the podcast, tell me what makes you guys so unique? You've won Best of Western Washington for many years, and you've also gotten some other small business accolades. What makes you guys so unique? Why do people come to you?
We're super reliable, and we love what we do. We're passionate about what we do. We're not ostentatious. We're offered a lot of TV spots. We're offered this and that, but we're I definitely am not. I have never been in it for fame or anything like that. I've just loved doing cake decorating, and
Hmm.
I loved it even before it was popular. Yeah, even before all the TV shows. even before, I've done it, and I continue to do it, and I continue to love it. And that has sustained the creative side of my being, along with my sister. And so we attract that as a team. So we have a bunch of people who are part of our team who just absolutely love what we do, and we deliver. So we do not miss, when we say what we are going to do, we do it. Like, our wholesale customers, when we receive our orders, we fulfill it. We do not make excuses. Even through the pandemic, we're super reliable. If I were a customer and if it's a special occasion that I'm doing, I would come to us, because we're literally people of our word. And that is, our integrity keeps us apart from a lot of people who come and go. And we've seen a lot of people come and go.
What is something about cake decorating or a challenge associated with cake decorating that, the average person, like, I can't even put frosting on the cake without ruining the entire top of it. But somebody like me that I might not be aware of when I see, somebody decorating a cake who's a professional, what's a challenge associated with it that somebody might not be aware of?
Well, are you talking about the business or the act of?
Oh, either one, I suppose.
Well, the act of decorating the cake, the most challenging for me is knowing when to stop, because I can keep going and going and going. So what is enough, right? I guess in life, everything is what is enough. And I guess that's a challenge in business too, when you think of, I'm going to grow, 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 but what is enough? That's the challenging part, really.
Yeah. I'm sure most artists would say that too about any of their art. So let's talk about your podcast. Why are you starting the podcast?
I'm a really curious person, and I just love to connect with people and learn about their stories. And I have so many friends in the industry, and they have just such amazing, unique stories that I want to uncover and share with the world. Just because, when you're in the food business, it's basic, right? It's like the baker, the candlestick maker. What is that? The butcher, the baker, the candlestick maker. It's not fancy. And so when you talk to bakers, you always have this real sense about them. They're not pretentious. And that's what I love. That's what I love about the industry. Even in industry conferences, you go straight to the core, because you know what? That in the bottom line of it all, just baking, so there's reality and realness to it. So that's why I wanted to do a podcast.
Why do you suppose that that's the case? In that similar personality trait exists among bakers? They're just aware that baking is baking, or is there more to it than that?
It is a core need to create. And when you create food, you really witness, especially, there's transformation there. You transform, sugar, flour, all the ingredients into some amazing creation. So there's like this, it's a unique experience. And I think that people who bake, there's this strong passion around it, because there's this like a satisfaction, like, oh, we are born to create, and it's like an active creation. So I think that's what it is. I'm not sure, but I know people who have been in the bakery, but especially I have known people who have just started the bakery business, and they like it, and they get a lot of attention. Those never last. But there's people who actually live their lives just like perfecting that one sourdough, perfecting that one recipe, perfecting that one cookie. And those kinds of people, they don't have any BS around them. Those are the kinds of people that I can really relate to.
Very nice. Sounds like it's going to be a enjoyable podcast to listen to. Final question for you. As you look back on your life as a 10-year-old now, are you glad, even though you didn't want to have a job that didn't pay back then, are you glad you had that experience?
Absolutely. I was just invited to go to Belgium to one of my vendors, right? And I ate chocolate the entire time. So yeah, it's been amazing.
Awesome. Hey, Odette, it's been great to talk to you. Best of luck with the podcast, and I'll look forward to hearing your episodes.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Chad.
So long, everybody.
Thanks for listening to the Celebrity Gourmet Podcast. We'll see you again next time, and be sure to click subscribe to get future episodes.